Antlers, assumptions, and artillery. Muse says we're done here, so she rammed 3 sort of endings down my throat. Do you agree with the crazy witch? What the? Lils asks as an Agala runs past them in a full sprint, with a look of clear panic on his face. The massive, 13-foot-tall Minotaur man, with muscles in the same general ballpark of the overly well-built Bjorn, is running from a gaggle of children. Make that an army of children, or perhaps an entire river of private streams. What is even going on? Lils asks as the scurrying identical brats rush by. A fine question, Bjorn says, and his hand blurs out to grab a stream by the back of his coat and haul him up. Care to answer it? Answer what? All the streams ask simultaneously. He gives us a shake. None of that one mind shit. I know you're in radio contact, and I know this was at least partially rehearsed. What's going on? The hell is going on? The Agila cries out, rushing by while now in the river of streams and clearly confused and panicking. Bjorn, Lils, and the stream. Bjorn is still holding by the coat. Watch him run by in a clear panic. Okay, Bjorn says, and he feels a tug on his customary jacket. He looks down, and it's another private stream. Can you set the drone down, please? We're testing basic algorithms with synthetic streams. The private stream says, and he lets that one down before picking up the one that asked by the back of the coat. Really? The madness is still going on, and I don't want you to just vanish on me. It's a massive synchronicity test. We're looking into new ways of expanding the Many Streams initiative, and one way is a crude synth body running basic algorithms that can be observed en masse and then fully accessed and used when a proper touch is needed. They're everywhere, the Agala screams, rushing by in the middle of the streams. And the Agala? Stream training. We're getting him over his dignity. Somehow making sense of this madness made it worse, Bjorn notes. We are what stares from the abyss. All the private streams state at once, and Bjorn gives the real one in his hand a shake. Knock it off, he says, and there's a tugging at his jacket. He looks down to see one of streams has stepped out of the stream of streams. Let me guess, you're all synths and you've shifted your primary avatar. We are many and we are strong, the stream says, and the newest one gets grabbed and shaken in response. The old one is dropped into the huge stream of streams and the new one is glared at. Are you deliberately annoying me? You're adding new variables into things. We're seeing how well the inactive drones work. You guys are pushing this very far and very fast. You're going to break something. Do not cross the streams. All of them and the Agela all call out at once. Bjorn lets go of the one he's holding as Lils finally breaks down and starts giggling at the sheer absurdity. Ah, fuck me, Bjorn mutters. That's her job. All the streams say at once as they point to Lils, whose giggles turn to full-blown lagotter. He's got you there, Ike, Lils exclaims, and Bjorn sighs. Great. Here I am outnumbered already, and the one person who's supposed to be on my side turns against me. Bjorn dramatically bemoans even as he lets go of private stream and swipes Lils into a hold. He then fakes a sob and blowing his nose into her fur, and she freaks a bit before feeling the R and telling that there's nothing there. Bjorn gets a few swats for that. All right, make a hole. Unless you want me to introduce my madness to things, there will be a clear path made so we can pass the stream of streams. Madness! The stream demands madness! The river of duplicates call out and Bjorn rolls his eyes. All right, screw this, he says, grabbing my one and holding him in the path of the others until several streams are stacked up. He repositions Lils onto his shoulder with his other hand and grabs another stream so he can start holding back the entire stream of streams, and it all starts stacking up. Then he pulls up and is suddenly holding a massive pile of streams over his head that he then tosses into the path of oncoming streams and forces them to act like a dam to the entire river of fools. That'll do, Bjorn remarks. You boys got numbers and mind games. I've got strength on a level where wall and door are synonyms. Don't mess with me, boy. To the uncontrolled laughter of the Agela, Bjorn struts out of the room with Lils cackling like a Halloween witch on his shoulder. All right, so what made you think it was a good idea to shoot at someone with a laser beam? The manager demands Ashina. They're stealing from the store. We're an overstock outlet. But even if we were a ritzy boutique with exclusive designer outfits, the proper response is to try and take their picture and not their life. What? It's an ablator. I'd have to keep the beam on them for like a minute straight before it kills them. Hell, some peoples can outright bathe in them. Why do you even have that ablator? It's for pincer cleaning. What? My father is a begrob, I think. Their carapaces are almost immune to laser fire and can outright ignore ablators. So can mine, so this is my pincer polisher, Ashina says, sounding a little abashed. You fired the equivalent of an electric hairbrush at a thief. Do you have an actual weapon on? Of course. The manager begins to ask as Ashina pulls out a plasma pistol. Jek Tech, because of course she'd like the gun that growls. Put it away. Am I in trouble? Yes and no. You still only fired in front of the thief and used a non-lethal, if painful, weapon, despite having something more dangerous. But we're an overstocked store. Just take a picture of them and hand it to me at the end of your work shift. I'll have it so that whoever it is either forced to pay full price for the thing they stole on their next visit or pass it up to the local law enforcement. We're here to sell product, not get into standoffs with thieves. All right, just to be sure, is this a day that things are seen as good or bad? Just, if you don't fire at another customer or thief, I'll mark today as successful. All right? All right. Yes, ma'am. I'm going back into the dry and dusty back to... That room is cleaned by a repurposed hospital cleaning drone twice daily. It's literally clean enough for surgery. You can eat off literally any surface in that room and the adjoining bathroom, the manager states, and Ashina is looking back and forth in clear thought. No, that was not a challenge or invitation to eat off the toilet or anything like that. Could be a fun thing to force someone to do, make them eat out of the toilet and they panic thinking about infection, but there's nothing to worry about. No, Ashina, making someone eat out of a toilet is wrong even when it's sanitary. But it is funny. Ashina, all right, Ashina says, waving a pincer at her manager before noticing that there's a little scuff on it. So she, of course, brings out the ablator and uses the warm and fuzzy feeling beam to scour off the tiny stain left over from her honestly rather bad attempt at cooking breakfast. The manager just watches as the plume of smoke from her burning the dirt off herself rises up without saying a word. So, a begrob. Do you not know who or what your father is? The manager asks. Aside from the scare of Ashina firing that thing at someone other than herself, and wasn't that a hell of a thing, there was really nothing happening. The drama of the day was done, the big rushes were over, and Miss Thief had decided to pull her stunt in the last half hour of the store being open. The sign outside had dimmed, they were technically closed, and until the last second excitement, it had, in fact, been a good day. Nope, Mom got drunk and pregnant. She knows it's some kind of insect species, but since when does something like that actually narrow it down? Even knowing he's a Begram means that there are about 4 stable subspecies, 50 major languages, and an ever-growing number of nationalities and communities. Last time I checked, we were in the hundreds of thousands and climbing up to the millions on that. I don't think I can sift through all that and find something useful. What about a DNA test? The manager asked. Let's just say that when me and Mom last went to a place with one, she recognized someone that would sabotage it straight out. Right. Yeah. Not my business, so, the manager says. She still wants to talk with Ashina. The girl had calmed down and proven herself a good worker, if an easily bored one. Have you ever met a begrob, or the sister species of Lete? I did, and they're kind of weird, you know. I mean, you're a lot of skin and a carapace around the hands, feet, and antenna, and are only hard in a few spaces, and I've got more skin than carapace too, technically in almost the same way, shoulders down only. But the begrob and Lete, armor-plated. The only real difference is the lead have powerful wings and thinner armor. They only have a few soft places, and even those have armor that shifts in front of them. It's like talking to someone in power armor. And there's also the fact that they're technically only wearing underwear even when completely modest, the manager says, and Ashina pauses. Visibly processes that information and her eyebrows go up. Makes you think, doesn't it? It also explains why... No, never mind. Ashina says as her mind goes to the idea of her mother drunkenly hanging off a man made of hard plating and scraping off a decorative loincloth with her tail to... She conks herself in the head with a pincer. Out! Out, you demons! Intrusive thoughts? I do not want to think about my mother getting laid. Yeah, that's about as intrusive as a thought gets, the manager says with a chuckle. Come on, let's set the drones into store shutdown mode and I'll show you something I found that'll distract you. With a very eager Ashina helping, the process is done in about half the time and they're soon leaving the store. Come on, this little shop opened and it's got some amazing simulated human food. If feeling like your mouth caught fire doesn't distract you, then nothing short of a concussion will. Wait, what are we getting? Oh shit, hot and sour soup. The real stuff is so strong that it can be used to peel the paint off an air car or dissolve a clog in the drains. Simulated can't, but it has nearly all the flavor. And sweet goddess is it a lot of flavor. Okay, do the humans just straight up eat acid or something? Actually, they do. It's a common cooking ingredient called vinegar, the manager says, and Ashina laughs a little. You know what? That explains a lot. It does, doesn't it? He was in his captain's cabin. He had actually declined an apartment in the arcology. Not because they weren't offering a good one. They were. But he just really liked the cabin, a consequence of living out of it for 6 years. It was just the way he liked it. A brush of his wing gets the music player going, and smooth horns start sounding out to be joined by the light thrumming of some strings. Good thinking music. He had plotted murder, sabotage, and his own future to these tunes. He places the package onto a small raised part of the floor next to a proper padded perch. It was just the right circumference and both warmed and padded for his talons. He could settle down on these and outright doze off. Of course, he would then lose his balance and eventually flop over. But that's because Valrun were designed to lay on their fronts or backs as they slept. He reaches forward with a talon and slowly plucks at the package. It opens with ease and he reaches in to pull out the gift. A long woven leather rope with numerous beads, feathers, carved idols, and tiny bits of Valrun culture painted on and braided in. While it was a relief to have it, an unclenching of some part deep down inside himself that he had long dismissed of simply being that way, it was also a frustration. For the pain he had felt had been almost entirely self-inflicted in this case. He was a killer, yes. He was a warrior, yes. He was a soldier, yes. He was still a Shriektalon. He felt like an idiot for never even considering that it was Shriektalons as a whole that were pacifists. He had assumed it was something like Shriektalon being universally pacifist, or if you are a Shriektalon, you are a pacifist, and it was a requirement. He would get in touch with the Star-Touch Pinions. He would find his family, find them himself, and learn who had been before Schleppa and the monsters of Lilb Tulelb had broken him. Even though he was no longer that man and would never be him again, it would still be the right thing to do to at least know who he was. So he would. And that was that. Jacob carefully hangs up the storied woven art piece on his wall so he can see it from his bed. It tells the story of his learning who the Shriektalons are, from the blood and guts near the beginning of the weaving to the acceptance and harmony of modern days. He would weave another to tell the tale of his capture and abuse, then his escape, the self-sought training and amazing revenge turned recruitment, and then a third when he reconnected with his family. But he knew himself, and now he knew how to record and read it. He settles back onto his perch with a contented sigh. Right now, for him, everything is right.